the remarkable rocket. The king's son was going to be married, so there were general rejoicings. He had waited a whole year for his bride, and at last she had arrived. She was a Russian princess, and had driven all the way from Finland in a sledge drawn by 6 reindeer. The sledge was shaped like a great golden swan, and between the swan's wings lay the little princess herself. Her long ermine cloak reached right down to her feet, on her head was a tiny cap of silver tissue, and she was as pale as the snow palace in which she had always lived. So pale was she that as she drove through the streets all the people wondered. "She is like a white rose," they cried, and they threw down flowers on her from the balconies. At the gate of the castle the prince was waiting to receive her. He had dreamy violet eyes, and his hair was like fine gold. When he saw her he sank upon one knee and kissed her hand. "Your picture was beautiful," he murmured, "but you are more beautiful than your picture," and the little princess blushed. "She was like a white rose before," said a young page to his neighbor, "but she is like a red rose now," and the whole court was delighted. For the next 3 days everybody went about saying, "White rose, red rose, red rose, white rose," and the king gave orders that the national anthem was to be played at every corner of the city. It was really a most delightful wedding, and the bride and bridegroom were as happy as possible, but the weather was terribly hot. Indeed, it was so hot that the princess nearly fainted at the high altar, and had to be carried into the vestry to recover. The king sent for the royal doctor, but the royal doctor was not at all alarmed. He was a very wise man and had once been at Harrow, so he drew out a large bottle of water, and sprinkled the princess's forehead with it. And almost immediately she opened her eyes and looked about her with a frightened expression. "What a wonderful thing is water," she said. "I should have died without it." Her eyes were certainly wonderfully bright, and she was quite pleased to hear herself praised.